And I would like to talk tonight about right effort. And I talked about it on the retreat, but I thought it'd be interesting to talk about it on the retreat or use some of what I talked about on the retreat, but also talk about what it means in daily life more. Because on retreat, I was very focused on the meditation practice. And the retreat, just so you know, was a IDC retreat, was the Insight Dharma Center teachers, meaning myself, John Martin, who teaches uh, upper market Dharma, and Anushka Fernandopole, who was teaching online, but is right now doesn't have a group, and Victoria Carey, who teaches a BIPOC group here in San Francisco, and Howie Cohn, who's been teaching for 40 years here in San Francisco. And the only person who wasn't there was Pam Weiss because she couldn't make the retreat. But it was 4 or 5 of us teaching together for the first time. And IDC is the Inside Dharma Center. It's an organization that we're part of. SFI is part of. And we all want to get a building in San Francisco, so we have a permanent center in San Francisco. So we're working on it. And as part of that, Spirit Rock gave us a retreat to teach. And it was great to be on retreat. It was great to teach together. We learned a lot. We learned a lot about each other's teaching because we don't normally teach together. And then also both the unity and the expansion of all our teachings by hearing one another. And so you hear the power of Sangha, even teaching Sangha, happened on retreat. And that happens on retreat in general. And if you go on a retreat, which I totally encourage you to do, if there's any way you can go on retreat, do it. It's good. It's powerful. And it changes your whole perspective on the Dharma. And it was very great. There were about 36 brand new people on retreat. And it was wonderful to watch the sincerity of their diligence, of their effort, of their hunger for the Dharma, to really learn how to sit and walk and eat, and sit and walk and eat, and really become alive in this moment, to wake up in this moment, and to really let go of everything else. And they were good. It was beautiful. And it was really beautiful to see the power of retreat, which I've seen many times, but I hadn't taught a retreat in a little while, a few months. And again, I always had 2 things come up for me. One is I just want to go sit my next retreat, and I want to encourage everybody else to go sit on retreat. And it doesn't mean you have to do it tomorrow, but put a retreat on your calendar and organize your life around that retreat, even if it's a year from now. So right effort is part of being on retreat, just like right effort is part of being here. You wouldn't be here if you didn't make the effort to be here. I wouldn't be here if I didn't make the effort to be here. I have to admit, I'm a little tired. I was on a retreat, not a meditation retreat, but I was on a retreat with my other teacher, Hamid Ali, the week before. And so I did a week of retreat being a student. I came home, turned around, went to Spirit Rock the next day, and taught a retreat for a week. And so I feel the tiredness, but I also feel the energy of the goodness of the Dharma. And so I'm here, and I got here, and I'm happy to be here. And I'll be happy to get a good night's sleep tonight, both, because my sleep goes down a little on retreat because there's a lot of energy on retreat. And it's not just it is the people who are taking the retreat, but the teachers get the energy too. And it's really, it was beautiful retreat, really very satisfying. And when I talked about effort on retreat, I started with this quote, which I often use and that I love. And the quote is, to study the Buddha way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be intimate with all things. And this is the essence of the Dharma. This is the essence of what we're doing. We're studying the self, meaning we're paying attention to body, heart, mind, and we're seeing what is this and how does it change and what's permanent and what's not permanent, which is all of it is not permanent. And so we're studying the self, and then we study the self. To forget the self means, it really means we let go of the holding on to a rigid identity, holding on to our ego identity, but seeing there's something more here than just the constructed identity of Eugene or Helen or Thomas or Allison or Judith or Ben or whoever, Eric. I could just go say everybody's name. Those are all good identities. You don't have to get rid of it, but it's not the totality of what's here. And we're interested in the totality. And part of what happens as we release or relax the cathexis, the attachment to self, is we become more and more intimate with all things. And so there's this effort, which is really to become intimate with reality, with the aliveness that's right here, both in us and with everybody else that we can be with together. And so that effort takes practice. It takes some discipline. It takes some effort. It takes some consistency. It takes trusting your heart and what you seek, which may be freedom or liberation or love or community, whatever it is, whatever good wish you seek, whatever, where there's something called samvega, not samvega, it's not the word I want, samvega. I'm forgetting the Pali word. I'm waiting to see if it'll come back. It means it's a wholesome kind of desire. If anybody knows it, you can yell it out, but it's a wholesome kind of desire. And and that's what leads us to go deeper in practice and become more intimate with the moment. And the word intimate, actually, the root of the word means inmost. Inmost, there's a turning inward and discovering what is hidden or the unknown by turning into the wonder of being alive, of embodied consciousness that's sitting right here in your seat, that is hearing my words. It's not just you who's hearing it, it's the consciousness, it's the awareness that is hearing my words, and turning towards that, becoming more intimate with that component. And one of my friends, Howie Cohen, who's, it's funny, we haven't talked together in a long time, but I used to go to Howie's group. Howie is the first teacher training that Jack Kornfield did. Howie was in that teacher training. And so he had a little group on Dolores Street that I used to go to, 40 years ago, something like that. And Howie was teaching about the Buddha's, what he called the release of enchantment. And enchantment, he said, was enchantment with youth, health, and life. And I know this story well. I know it with a different translation. It's the Buddha talked about being intoxicated with youth, with health, with life. And when he let go of those intoxications, he started to, that was the movement to awakening. This is part of the mythology, one of the mythological stories about how the Buddha comes to awaken. And it's about letting go of our intoxication with the familiar, with even the normal, the conventional. Doesn't mean we have to get rid of it. It means we're not just simply holding on to the rigidity of what's here and opening to the amazing magic of being alive and being conscious and being aware. And that comes with a certain kind of effort. We're letting go. We also, in meditation, of course, we're letting go of the past, the future, but and here in daily life, we want to let go of, we want to keep our understanding of what's needed and see what's possible now as we stabilize in the now. And that's a really important thing to understand, because the meditation practice becomes the foundation for right effort in daily life. Sayadaw U Tejaniya, one of my teachers, who said, forget the idea that meditation happens only on a cushion or in a meditation hall. The right time to meditate, is all day long, from the moment we wake up until the moment we fall asleep. And he's talking about broadening the whole idea, our idea, and seeing the potential for what it means to be awake and aware 24/7, which you'll never do it perfectly, but it's more doable than all of us think. We all think, oh no, you can't do that. But check it out, try, make the effort, find some energy, see what it's like to spend 2 hours staying mindful, even as you move through the world. And that doesn't mean doing it slowly and walking very slowly like on a retreat, but it does mean staying awake, being aware of your body, being aware of other people, being aware of your reactions, your thoughts, your feelings, and then seeing what's skillful to follow and what's not skillful. All of that becomes part of right effort. You can hear it in this quote. This is from Amado Soler, who was a Spanish teacher, who wrote a book called Tranquility and Insight. And he says, all meditative traditions, whatever the differences in underlying belief systems and in specific techniques, agree on one essential respect. The cause of dissatisfaction, anxiety, and suffering lies in a basic misinterpretation of the true nature of existence. A basic misinterpretation of the true nature of existence, so that we persist in futile attempts to pursue and secure things such as health, riches, happiness, and so on, which by their very nature are ephemeral or unattainable. Meditative traditions also agree neither intellectual understanding nor faith, religious faith are enough. Something must be done. And this is the key of what he's saying. Something must be done, not only outwardly, but inwardly. I would add, given the talk here, because we're in the world, is both outwardly and inwardly. And then he goes on to say each person needs to work on themselves to correct this fundamentally distorted perception of reality. The work on oneself, this internal reorganization of the psyche, is meditation, right? And so that's what we're doing. And then listening to Sayadaw U Tejaniya, we want to forget the idea that meditation only happens on the cushion or in a meditation hall. That's the beginning of meditation. That's the gym of meditation. And when you work out at a gym, you do your workout and then you use those muscles out in the world. You don't leave them at the gym. Don't leave your meditation in the meditation hall. Take it into the world. It's fun. I'm seeing some people who are on the retreat. It's nice to see you here. I'm going to keep going. Say a little more about right effort. And again, right effort is part of the Eightfold Noble Path, right, which begins with right understanding and right intention, and then goes to right action, right livelihood, right speech, and then there's right effort, right mindfulness, and right samadhi, right concentration. And the effort asks us to bring a certain energy to be here, to abide in the present moment, to develop and nurture an impeccable steadiness or steadfastness of practice. And the word effort is a kind of force or exertion that happens in a process. And we want that kind, we want some force. We want that aliveness to be focused to waking up and to staying present and awake 24/7. And that takes energy, and energy is really a certain kind of strength or vitality needed for any sustained physical or mental task. And this is a certain kind of task that takes some energy. And it doesn't mean it takes all your energy all the time. It takes different kinds of effort and energy in different places and different moments. And I'll say more about that in a minute. But first, I like to get the word right clarified, because I love the word right. In Pali, it's the word sama, and sama is usually like sama samadhi, means right concentration. But it can be translated as true or authentic meditation, or direct or upright or beneficial, or the current flavor that's popular is wise intention, wise understanding, wise speech, wise effort. I like right. And I like right because of what it means in the dictionary. It means in going in a very direct way straight to its destination. Or it also means, if it's in balance, to recover our balance, like riding a boat, right? We discover balance and harmony and being in and out of balance as part of practice. And so right has more fluid. It's not just rigid, right? It's not mechanistic. It's right as a process, so that it includes our mistakes, our falling off to one side or the other. And then, of course, my favorite part of the definition, which was from the Oxford English Dictionary. It said, right means to bring into accordance with the truth, to bring into accordance with the truth. And most of you know that Dharma means truth. That's one very important translation of Dharma. It means truth. And we want to bring ourselves in accord with truth, whether it's right effort, right? The truth of what kind of effort is helpful or skillful in this moment, at this time, in this place. And the same with right speech or right mindfulness or right action, etc. Right? We want to come into alignment with the truth, because it's said in many traditions, it's the truth that will set you free. And that freedom is something we seek in whatever form we may seek it, whether it's love or happiness or community. There's a certain freedom that's really underneath all of this. And so in meditation, there's a lot of different ways for right effort to be, right? We want to be consistent. We want to be relaxed. Well, let me go here. I'm going to go. There's more, there's different, let me say it this way, there's different flavors of effort. And in the retreat, people talked about different flavors. John Martin, Anushka, Fernanda Pole were talking about gentle effort. And that's really important, to learn how to be gentle and kind with our effort. And I was talking about relaxed effort, which I get from Sayadaw U Tejaniya. And I was also talking about willful effort, or a more Vajra effort, a more sword-like effort, which is needed. And we all have that capacity within us, or we can find that capacity. If we haven't had it, it's in you. You can find it. And it's really a kind of, it can be very strong, it can be very willful, it can be very fierce. My friend EQ, the great Zen poet, Zen master, he said, I dedicate every pore to what's here. I dedicate every pore to what's here. And that's a beautiful understanding of right effort. He dedicates his whole body, in that way. He dedicates his being to what's right here. And that's part of what supports his discovering the truth, becoming intimate with the Dharma itself. And of course, I talked about on the retreat, I'd like this, the fierce Vajra sword-like practice is often called practice as if your hair is on fire. But I found the original quote from Jiao Zen, who lived 1580 to 580 to 674. And he said, when the mind of itself is peaceful and pure, then all that is needed is bold advance, as if to save your head from fire. And it's a beautiful poetic way of talking about giving yourself totally to the practice, no holding back. And remembering this practice, when you're doing it, it's the most important thing you're doing. There's nothing more important when you're meditating than meditating and doing it. And there are different ways to be diligent, to give yourself to it in this way. And I talked a little in the retreat, and I've talked about it here before about my first retreat and sitting with pain in my knee and hating sitting and trying to sit. I couldn't sit still for the whole first, 6 days of the retreat. And then after about the 7th day, I just vowed to just sit there for one sitting and not move. And I just vowed to do it. And I vowed, and I was noting what was happening. So I'm sitting, I'm following the breath, in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. And my knee starts hurting. I'm sitting cross-legged and it's hurting. And so I'm noticing in breath, out breath, pain, in breath, out breath, hurt, in breath, out breath, ow, ow. I'm just using whatever words are actually, and finally I'm like, in breath, out breath, shit, stop, ring the bell. I'm saying in my mind, but I'm sitting through it and the pain's there. And I'm also naming the pain. It's tearing, ripping, burning, destroying me, my whole interpretation of what was happening. And then an interesting thing happened. They rang the bell and the pain went away and my knee went away and I went away. And I couldn't stop being mindful that day. I just couldn't stop. And I was so mindful when I talked. This was on a retreat with Joseph Goldstein and Sharon Salzberg and Jack Kornfield, really old days. And I talked to Joseph and I said to him in this voice, because I could barely talk, I was so I said, am I going to be like this forever? Because I was so just in the moment. Because when I went away, the mindfulness just continued. It was uneffortful mindfulness. It was the effort of no effort, and it just did itself, and it was wild, and it was great. But I just didn't even know if I'd be able to function. So I said to Joseph, am I going to be like this forever? And he laughed. He said, no, you don't have to worry about that. But I want you to come on the 3-month retreat. I was only sitting a 10-month retreat. And he saw that I'd gotten very concentrated. So Joseph likes to support deeper practice always. And then there are other things to say, but I'm going to say a little more about, what do I want to say? I can't do the whole talk I did on retreat, not enough time. Okay, here. So if you're working with the breath, make an effort to note or name what's happening in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. You can even do this while I'm talking to you. You can be aware of the breath and just very quietly, like a whisper in the mind, say the word in, out, in, out. And that will help tether you to the breath more, bring body and mind together. And another skillful means is counting the breath. 1 breath, 2 breath, 3, 4. And then when you get to 10, start again at 1. And I do that when I want to really, I'm working to get concentrated. Or sometimes when I'm really, when I'm sitting longer and I want to really stay with it, I want to see if I can become one with the breath, like let my awareness just permeate the breath, or let my breath permeate my consciousness. So I just know it directly, experientially, and allow the breath to breathe itself, do itself, and trusting the breath to do itself, however long or short it's happening. And so you get more concentrated, more intimate with the breath itself, letting the breath saturate me in some way and giving myself to the breath. And of course, it's always great to really just remember very quietly that this is a brand new breath. Each breath, brand new. It's never happened before, will never happen again. See if you can taste it. What does this breath taste like? And in that way, starting to discover what kind of effort is needed in order to stay present and aware and awake. And then I want to say a little bit more about right effort in relationship. And that's really an investigative practice for all of us, to really see what kind of effort is needed for you in your personal relationships. If you live with someone, you have a partner, what's needed, or if you have a family, if you have children, or if you have older relatives, what's needed to really keep waking up in those relationships, practicing in those relationships. What kind of effort is needed, not to just to go to sleep in those relationships. And it's really the same principles in work relations. And you might not be as intimate with people in work relations as you are with family at home, but still, what kind of effort is needed to see who is this person, and what capacity do they have, and what would support me serving our work together. And the same is true in social relationships. Are we here just to have fun? Well, what would be fun with this person? And what would be fun for me with this person or these people? You know, I read you quotes. Every once in a while, I read a quote from myself. So I'm going to give you a quote from Eugene Cash. And the quote I have is, I wrote, "We are conditioned to think about effort as goal striving, filled with hard work and sweat. Spiritual effort can include a perfectly skillful balance of endurance, energy, enthusiasm, grace, dignity, and love." And because all the right effort is in the service of realizing the Dharma and waking up, whether it's on the meditation cushion or your meditation chair, or whether it's in our lives. Can we wake up in this area of life, and what kind of effort is needed to help me or you to wake up at work or in relationship? And I always think of the creative efforts of the artist or the musician who really practice hard and then perform. And when they perform, it's like it's just the beauty of their spirit shining. And the great American jazz musician Charlie Parker, he said, first perfect your instrument, then just play. And it's a beautiful understanding. That's what we do by meditating. We're perfecting our instrument. Our instrument is ourself. And then the play is letting our heart really come alive in the world and speak to the world as Rosa Parks understood. She said, to this day, I believe we are here on earth to live, grow, and do what we can to make this world a better place for all people to enjoy freedom. And I think I'll end. I have a lot of other great quotes, but I'm going to end with Ajahn Chah, who said, proper effort is not the effort to make something particular happen. It's the effort to be aware and awake in each moment, the effort to make each activity of our day meditation. Okay, I'm gonna we'll do a little sharing of merit, and then I'll ring the bell. Yeah, I'll do a little sharing of merit and then ring the bell. Taking a moment to reflect, appreciate our time here together, that we have the great and good fortune and privilege to have the time and space and teachings to come together to study Buddhism, to study the Dharma, to see what kind of energy or effort it takes for us to wake up, and appreciating that good fortune and sending it out in every direction, in every realm. May all beings be happy and peaceful. May all beings be safe, protected. May all beings be as healthy as possible. May all beings live with a sense of ease. And may all beings discover the effort, the energy needed to awaken and be free. May all of us awaken and be free. May all beings be free. Thank you all. Good to see you. See you somewhere in the river of